It was 1839 when one of Milwaukee's founding fathers, Byron Kilbourne, joined with renowned scientist and engineer Increase Lapham to break ground for a new canal. The two men thought the canal would one day connect Lake Michigan to the Mississippi River. Kilbourne and Lapham had already started constructing the canal's first lock by building a timber dam on the Milwaukee River, just south of the North Avenue Bridge. But the Milwaukee and Rock River Canal was never completed, having fallen victim to the advent of more efficient rail transportation. The short-lived canal would grow to just over a mile, starting at the dam and extending southwestward above the riverbank, following the path of what today is Commerce Street. What Kilbourne and Lapham could not have predicted is the crucial role their failed project would play in building Milwaukee's proud heritage as a world leader in energy, power, and controls. While the canal failed as a transportation link, it did have one profound, if unintended, benefit: hydropower. By the mid-1800s, no fewer than 25 Milwaukee factories were powered by water from the canal and its dam. It was in this serendipitous manner that many machine shops and manufacturers got started in Milwaukee and helped write the city's early history. While hydropower got Milwaukee industry started, its reign was brief, replaced by an even more powerful newcomer, the steam engine. Steam changed everything. It was a power source Milwaukee firmly embraced. The city's manufacturers excelled at perfecting and producing its various components. One such manufacturer was Decker and Seville's Reliance Works, a producer of milling equipment and cast iron stoves. The Reliance Works complex was located here along the banks of the Milwaukee River, at a site we know today as Pierre Marquette Park, just downstream from the old canal. The financial panic of 1857 hit the Reliance Works hard, and in 1861 the struggling company was acquired by a young industrialist named Edward Phelps Allis. The impact of this acquisition was enormous, and to this day the enterprising spirit of E.P. Allis remains tightly woven through the fabric that was and is Milwaukee. Allis's Reliance Works was landlocked, inhibiting his desire to expand. So in 1867, Allis floated his buildings down the Milwaukee River to a new location with easy access to Lake Michigan shipping, right next to the bustling Milwaukee Harbor. The new E.P. Allis Reliance Works campus occupied several city blocks right here in Walker's Point, just south of Florida Street along what was then Clinton and today is South First Street. For decades, some of the greatest machinery in the world was manufactured right here on Milwaukee's near south side. E.P. Allis obtained the best engineers by offering them irresistible pay and benefits and allowing them to retain patent rights, even naming rights, for the equipment they designed. This strategy created an engineering dynasty that led the company to prolonged industry dominance. One of these engineers was Edwin Reynolds, who came to E.P. Allis from the Corliss Steam Engine Company in 1877. By the following year, Reynolds' new engine line was so successful that E.P. Allis had a 6-month backlog of orders. Under Reynolds' leadership, Allis became the world's premier supplier of steam engines and related equipment. Reynolds' engine and pump designs would forever alter the machines that helped power industries like mining, steel production, water supply, and rapid transit. It was this combination of skill and innovation at E.P. Allis that set the stage for Milwaukee's long-held dominance in energy, power, and controls. And it all happened right here in this small Walker's Point neighborhood. This was the epicenter of innovation and enterprise. E.P. Allis and its surrounding neighborhood became an urban industrial commons, a true breeding ground for the best and brightest inventors, designers, engineers, and manufacturers. In essence, this was a 19th century industrial version of Silicon Valley. In post-Civil War Milwaukee, opportunity knocked. And with open land readily available, small businesses flocked to this neighborhood, drawn in by the giant industrial magnet that was E.P. Alice. They were interconnected, sharing ideas, feeding off each other, driven by a common passion for progress. One of these businesses, Pauling and Harnischfeger, built a machine shop on Florida Street, just north of E.P. Alice. This would prove beneficial to both companies when an overhead crane failure inspired an Alice engineer to design a better, safer crane. E.P. Alice was not interested in entering the crane business, so the engineer brought his vision to life by crossing the street to Pauling and Harnischfeger. There, his new technology was embraced, and as a result, Pauling and Harnischfeger would become a world leader in the manufacture of overhead cranes. Another innovation also involved the crane, specifically the need for a better mechanism to control its electric motors. This need provided the inspiration for Lined Bradley to develop an amazing device. Bradley's compression rheostat enabled precision control movement of electric cranes, making them truly practical for the first time. Bradley's first office and drafting room occupied the second floor of this small building, just up the street from the company he would found, Allen Bradley. In 1879, Bruno Nordberg moved to Milwaukee and became a draftsman for E.P. Alice. In a short time, Nordberg became one of the company's foremost designers, gaining widespread recognition for his design of a copper mine hoisting engine. This recognition enabled him to start his own company, Nordberg Manufacturing. Along with mining equipment, the new company designed and built diesel engines and a line of mechanized railroad maintenance equipment. Nordberg would eventually merge with the Rex Chain Belt Company to form what is now known as Rexnord. Ole Evinrude went to work for E.P. Alice in 1900. He spent every moment of his free time working on his own design for an improved internal combustion engine. Evinrude allowed his friend Arthur Davidson to tinker in his machine shop. Davidson was developing a motorcycle with his friend William Harley, a draftsman at Pauling and Harnischfeger. Evinrude was by this time a seasoned mechanic, and he helped Davidson with carburation and other design details. In fact, Evinrude is credited with helping to develop the first motorcycle engine for a new company launched in 1903, Harley-Davidson. By 1907, Ole Evinrude could boast of an invention all his own, one that would forever change the boating industry, the first successful outboard motor. Another company next to the sprawling Alice Works was C.J. Smith & Sons. Smith had developed a process that formed steel tubing for bicycle frames. His company would go on to become the largest manufacturer of bicycle parts in North America. In 1899, the founder's son, A.O. Smith, developed the world's first pressed steel automotive frame. In 1906, Henry Ford visited Milwaukee and ordered 10,000 of these frames for his Model K touring car. This huge purchase prompted A.O. Smith and his team to create the world's first auto frame assembly line. Within 4 years, the nation's largest automobile frame manufacturer would be none other than A.O. Smith. In those halcyon days, Smith and his ingenious Walker's Point colleagues were every bit as important to Milwaukee as Henry Ford and his fellow automakers were to Detroit. A.O. Smith innovation helped bring tremendous success to yet another Milwaukee company, Briggs & Stratton. Here's how. A.O. Smith had developed an engine that could be attached to a bicycle. At the time, Briggs & Stratton was a manufacturer of locks and switches for the rapidly growing automotive industry. Well, in 1919, Briggs bought the rights to the Smith motor wheel. This led directly to development of the famous Briggs & Stratton P engine. Eventually, the company became the world's largest producer of air-cooled gasoline engines, a distinction it still enjoys today. Milwaukee's industrial breeding ground would also attract Warren S. Johnson, a college professor who was frustrated by his inability to regulate individual classroom temperatures. Johnson would go on to develop the first multi-zone temperature control system. One of the early businesses to benefit from this innovation was the luxurious downtown Pfister Hotel. Johnson owned more than 50 patents, most of them dealing with ways to harness power from fluid, air, and steam. His inventive genius would give rise to a company that, to this day, bears his name, Johnson Controls. Even as its renowned designers came and went, E.P. Alice continued to blaze new trails in steam engine technology. This steam-driven pump, built for Milwaukee's Riverside Waterworks station, became a model for other cities. By 1924, this pump set a new world record for efficiency. The importance of Milwaukee as an innovator and world leader in energy, power, and controls, quite simply, cannot be overstated. The technology developed here truly changed the world, and most of the amazing advancement grew out of a small neighborhood on the near South Side, anchored by Alice Chalmers' predecessor, E.P. Alice, home to a host of companies that have become household names that continue to power the globe. Even after 175 years, Milwaukee's rich legacy remains intact and relevant as the city's passion for progress continues. It's a legacy the Mid-West Energy Research Consortium is proud to embrace and build upon. And to think, it all started with failure. A canal that would never be completed, that would never achieve its intended purpose. But the unintended consequences of Kilbourne and Lapham's Little Canal helped lead to industrial advances that would extend around the globe, creating reverberations that are felt even today, that exemplify Milwaukee's proud heritage in energy, power, and controls.